So, I am back, everyone. I'm back at Magic after a 10-year break, over a decade break. They brought me back in, guys, because of course, for fantasy. And I won, guys. I crushed all these new noobs. But overall, I hope you guys like the video, because I will talk about, what is my experience, right? What is my feeling coming back after playing Magic for very high level competitiveness, right? But again, a decade ago, finally getting back in, and of course, Final Fantasy. It's a giant fantasy fan, right? I used to work, of course, FF7 Part 1, and it was a special feeling. And yes, I did genuinely win. And seriously, guys, it was kind of hilarious, and I'll talk about it more in the video, but a very brief of this part. It was kind of funny, right? So I get into this store, right? LGS, because I've never played Magic in this city, in this country at all before. No one knows who I am, right? I'm coming in there, I'm wearing my Sephiroth, casual cosplay, right? I'm getting in there, guys. I get all terrible cards, okay? Not a single good card. No Cloud, no Tidus, no Yuna, nothing, badass main characters, right? But I get this card. Nibelheim Ablaze. In my first card that I open up, right? I get in this version. In the special, promo card thing. Make my whole deck about this thing. Keep getting Sephiroth cards. I get Garl, I get Gilgamesh. I just crush everyone. No one knows who I am. And they're all afraid of me. Who is this guy? He's at the table. He's like at 4-0 now. He's been like 8-0. This guy's like crazy. No one knows who I am, and I'm being like more villainous. Like serious. I had 2 of these card rights. Sephiroth Intervention. Oh my god. I had Vane's Treasury. All removal cards. I just had so many removal cards. I had no good cards. Seriously, all terrible 1-2 drops, but they just play their giant, $5,000 freaking hero card. And I was like, oh, another hero? I kill it. Another hero? I kill it. It genuinely wasn't feeling. Again, no one knew who I was. No one knew my name. Everyone was friends with everyone, right? And I was like, I'm the bad guy. So it was a very funny feeling. But anyway, before we get into that, though, I want to talk about the general feel to it. Because, like I said, I haven't played for many years. I didn't know anyone there. And it did feel like a really fun thing to experience, though. The actual community. Start with that. Okay, so I'm gonna start talking about my just feeling, right? Getting into a game store after so many years and how it has changed since over the decade, right? Now, I haven't actually ever played at this before, right? But still, I feel that they're kind of similar, right? So it's a different kind of culture and a climate, I feel, a decade later, so to speak. Later on in the video, I will go into my actual details, how I won, right? I got second place, they won, and first place they two. So I was by far the best pre-release player in general, right? I went 1-7-1 in rounds or whatever, so I crushed everyone. And I was bragging now. Now my point is that I will talk about that more later in the video, because I also seen that one of my coworkers, he's never played Magic before. He loves fantasy. He was a common player, right? So overall, one thing I think was very special with this pre-release was that so many people had never actually played Magic, but they love VV, right? They love all the cards, right? So there was a lot of just new players. This is my coworker, they want to get there and play, right? So later in the video, I'm going to go in and talk about some of my strategies, what I'm going to think about. I will probably play tomorrow, and maybe also on Wednesday, maybe on Friday. No, I'm stuck, I'm back at it. I'm stuck and I'm back at it. The point is that there still is a couple of left, right? And if you haven't played yet, so I will try to kind of explain some of the basic strategies and how to maybe up your games. Because I definitely met a lot of people that they basically even knew the rules, and they definitely did not know some of the strategies. I did a post yesterday about my winning strategy with this card then, the Ablaze card, the flashback card, PTSD card, and most people actually commented, I didn't even knew the card was real. But it's the best combo in this limited, right? So I'll explain it later in large detail. But first of all, what was my feeling? Well, as I said, right, a lot of people there had never played Magic. I'd never been in that sense before. So about 10 years ago, when I played Magic a lot, right? Or for maybe if you go back 20 years to 10 years ago, that interval, I used to play all the time, competitively, both standard, legacy, and I played every pre-release. And I think I've won maybe 12, 13 or so pre-releases. Used to win these display packs and have the t-shirts and all this stuff, right? But whatever. I used to just play all the time, right? And in these pre-releases, it was very uncommon to have complete new players. It happened once or twice. Usually someone's girlfriend, you know what I mean? But this time, I never met so many new players. Now, just like my coworker, was one thing I really noticed when it came to new players to Magic in FF Magic Gathering was that basically all of them were only playing FF14. Yeah, huge amount of people that were completely new were just MMO players. They didn't even play, you know, FF16, 15, or 7, whatever. They only played 14. Yeah, my coworker, he's exactly the same. He loves 14, his favorite MMORPG, right? He's never played any other Final Fantasy game. And the first table I was at the second day, I was next to a couple, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend. Neither of them had ever played Final Fantasy, but they loved all the collector cards. And they basically was there to get, you know, again, all the collector cards, like all the rare special cards, which are, of course, incredibly expensive, because they really, really love 14. And yeah, my coworker is the same. So that was a feeling that I had very special. There were so many new players. I've never seen so many new players before in a pre-release. That being said, like I said, I haven't played for 10 years. Maybe that has changed, but back in those days, it was very uncommon that one would go to like a tournament for money, right, and play pre-releases. Secondly, on that notion, it certainly felt much more casual. The rules were more adapted for new players, right? I checked out some of the different places in the city, and they have some different rulings and so on, right? And overall, if you're a new player, it certainly is important to look at the different store rules, right? So some of the stores had like everyone gets 2 boosters, some had like you get 3 boosters if you win 3 games, right? And so forth. But overall, it felt like it was just much nicer than it used to be, right? Back in my days, when I was a young lad, it used to be like you got 0 extra boosters unless you won like, you know, 4 or 5 games, right? But if you won like 5 games, you got like, you know, 6 or 9 extra boosters. If you won like 7 games, you got like, you know, a whole display to the 2 boosters. So back in those days, it was like basically everyone played. If you got less than 4 wins, you usually got nothing, right? Except the actual pack you get when you buy, of course. But if you got more than 3-4 wins, then you will get a lot of boosters, right? So it felt a little bit. Every store I checked out, where I live at least, everything felt a little more casual. It was something like I'm used to, where it's kind of like, you know, winner takes it all. Yeah, it was much more casual oriented. I talked to, of course, a lot of people there, and my general feeling was that more people love Commander these days, right? Obviously for Fantasy, it's very Commander focused too. A lot of, you know, dual guys and a lot of cool effects. So I felt like everyone, most people there was like, oh, I just want to get some cards for my Commander decks, right? They weren't really that hardcore. And I think that has made Magic perhaps more. I think Magic today feels more casual, honestly, yeah. It feels more, you know, more openly to people, because Commander is, of course, 4 players, and you don't die immediately. It takes a longer time, usually, so on, right? So I felt that was a big difference, because usually when I played back in the days, pre-release was like super hardcore, right? Everyone was like, winner takes everything, basically. Everyone was there, was like, you just played the tournament all the time, and it was very, very, it was very hardcore. And it has some few players sometimes, but not in this. Not remotely at all. Now, the community felt really great. Just like, you know, friendship is one nakama. I really did enjoy playing the pre-release, in the sense that when you go to like a new store or whatever, right, you will meet these nerds. They also love Final Fantasy, whatever. They love the same game you love and so on, right? But I think that's the first thing that I really like stood out for me in this pre-release compared to my, you know, decade-old experience then, right? Is that a lot of people here were pretty new players. And if it weren't new players, almost everyone liked Final Fantasy, right? So it was a really good pre-release in that sense, because you would have a match, you would discuss, you know, who's your favorite fantasy character, who's your favorite game, you know, what's your favorite cutscene, or what's your best build, right? Like, I like Sarah, for example, FF13 is a great character, you know what I mean? There was that kind of feel to it, right? So I really enjoyed that. That's something I never experienced before in the old pre-releases, which are not based, you know, on like a certain other media, right, or other franchise. So that was really great. And it was very easy for me, at least, because I'm an extrovert, I guess that very easy for me, at least, to get into, like, you know, a discussion, talk to people, you know, between the sets, right? So it was really fun in that sense. I really did enjoy that. I think that overall was a very good feeling for a pre-release, and I think that you can pretty easily meet new friends or whatnot, right? And yeah, it was a lot of new players, mostly really hardcore, right? Final Fantasy fans that are there, so you can have a lot of, you know, interesting discussion with them, right, about that, or see if have like anime or whatnot, right? Had like a narrative discussion with some guy I play with and so on, right? So that was really great, and I think overall, in my experience, pre-releases are like that still, though, you know, because it's a bunch of, you know, nerds or whatever, right? But especially here, when you have a team of like Final Fantasy, a very hardcore established franchise with so many games, so many experience, that it was very much, I think, a lot of good discussion and debates about Final Fantasy. That now, of course, the cost is very expensive. It cost me like $50 where I played, or $55 if you registered later or you paid on the site and didn't like prepay. And back in the days when I played, it was like $25 last time I played. It's a 100% increase. And yes, even with inflation, it should have been about $30 or so, or roughly, even less than like $29 or so. So it certainly feels way more expensive. I mean, they absolutely have increased the prices, right? A booster where I used to live went for like $4 or $5. Now it's like $8 to $10, I guess, depending where you live, is alright. So everything is like 100% more expensive over these 10 years. And I mean, even I know, of course, that Final Fantasy has an extra, increase, right? But even looking at the previous set, it's like what, 80% more. Yeah, so it's way more expensive. Like I said earlier, though, if you're a new player, when I play the pre-releases, I certainly would go for, if they have then the stores, right, that are more like, no matter what you get like 1-2 extra boosters and whatnot, right? Because what I was thinking of, generally speaking, even though I have somewhat high confidence I'm gonna, do pretty well, is of course to try to find the store that has the best amount of extra boosters, right? So pre-releases, the reason why I played those as well, because they're fun, but also monetary-wise, a pre-release is good because you get 6 boosters, right, for the set price, plus a promo booster, which is like 1 guaranteed rare, and then you also get usually that like maybe 3 extra boosters if you play fairly well, right? or higher, right? Where I lived, they had different rules then, but the best I could see was like you get 2 boosters even if you get last place, which of course means that you get 8 boosters, right, plus the pro booster for the basic price of $50, which is expensive, but comparably to buying 8 separate booster, that's like a 3 booster extra, right? And if you got a better placement, like if you won a tournament, you got another, 2, 3, 4, whatever, depending on number of players, right? So you should maybe get like 6 boosters if you win, right? Again, depending on how many people plays, because the more people, of course, in a tournament, right, it's like 1 booster per player you beat, basically, right? So the more fights you have and the more you win, the more boosters you get, right? And so forth, right? And like I said earlier, depending on the rules, it might be like 2 boosters per player or 1 or whatever, right? Depending on how hard it is, hardcore it is. Or chicken, as you call it, a chicken draft and so on. And it felt a little bit, like I mentioned earlier, a chicken casual pre-release for me then, right? So I'm just like, and for me, obviously, it was a negative. Because I'm just being like, oh, I'm like winning all my games here. So I would prefer if it was like, winner takes it all, or at least like, better pricing for like number 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. I would prefer that if it was more hardcore, obviously, of course. But overall, like I said, if you're a new player, I definitely recommend pre-releases. I didn't say this to my coworker and friends here. I said, yeah, but if you want to play fantasy, you certainly should play in like a pre-release, because, like I said, you probably get like 2-3 boosters for free, basically, right? So it is, pre-release has always been like the best, like dollar per value random con. Of course, these loot boxes, it's random. You might get terrible. Like I got nothing good. Coming to that soon here. I got terrible cards, right? But overall, your chance of getting good cards on random is the highest at a pre-release. So it's the best like dollar cost average you will get, right? Like I said, usually it's like, I think your average store probably will need you like 8 booster plus the promo, which is about like a half booster then. So it's like 2.5 boosters for free, basically, right? And then the actual tournament experience. Plus, one thing I really liked in its new, I said before this, as a returning player, is that we had achievements too. We had like suplex the train, and they got a booster pack. The first person to do that got a booster pack. First person to play like Tidus, the main character, and then defeating a main villain like Kefka or something, right? We'll get another booster pack. So I really like that. I never said that before, coming back after 10 years, right? But I really like the achievement system. So if you had like 3-4 extra booster packs, you could win like per round. So it was like 15, 16 extra boosters that you could win, right, in total then, if you got all of them during the tournament. That was a really great experience, and so people, of course, would lose a game on purpose to suppress the train, you know what I mean, but also get a booster. So that was really fun, and I like that. You comment below if that's a new thing, but I don't think that was only for Final Fantasy, right? But it certainly made more sense, I guess, for FF. But I guess they might have it for other pre-releases too, but I think with the narration of What's the characters, it made a lot of sense. Cards have really good lore. For example, then Special Trade is a really funny part from the actual FF6, right? But now, I want to tell you my evil storyline. No, but seriously, I felt really evil. And it was really great then. I said an intro, guys, but it was hilarious, right? Because I appeared here. I'm obviously always in a Sephiroth cosplay outfit, right? My hair, of course, is Sephiroth, you all know that, always, right? And I have like a black, like, you know, cloak on me and everything. So I really have the Sephiroth look-alike thing. Have my katana, I'm kidding, but I have mother katanas with me. No, but I do look like Sephiroth on purpose in real life. I'm a casual Sephiroth enjoyer, right? So, like I said earlier, it was really, really funny. For me, especially low winning, though. Because, I mean, I just got in there, right? And I said earlier, like, no one knew who I was, right? Never played Magic in the city before, in this country before. Never. No one knew who I am, right? Like this old champion master coming down from the mountain like, "What are you kids doing over here, you know? Get off my lawn, cocky!" That kind of feel, right? No one knows who I am. They all underestimate me, right? Because they all have this like, oh, this guy is a pro, this guy is a good player, right? This usually wins the tournaments. And I'm just like, I haven't played in like a decade. What can I do, right? And then I just crushed them. Yeah, I just crushed like 3-4 games in a row, like 2-0 in like a few minutes. I play really fast, right? I also play very aggressively fast. People are shocked, like, what is this guy doing? What? You know? And I am playing evil cards. So my main card, right, again, was this card, right? Nibelheim Ablaze and Ahirman. So you do this card, you put it on Ahirman, everyone get death shots, everyone dies, baby. And then my best finisher was Gilgamesh, right? So I had evil cards, I had Garland, Gilgamesh, all Sephiroth removals, and I'm just killing people left and right with all my evil card guys, right? And everyone else, you know, they play their hero cards. They play their Sidans, you know, their Clouds, their Tifas, their Barretts, and I'm sitting there playing dark red Sephiroth Garland, like, you're dead. like I really became the villain. I was like, noob. I really, like, enjoyed being the villain guy. The first day I played, though, I actually had all the healing love interests, like Sarah, like Garnet, and Renoa. So it was like I was playing all the love interests, you know, all the lovable characters that everyone's like, oh, yeah, Renoa. So it was very opposite in the second day. But the thing was that I got second place as well. And I did actually feel that I had the intimidating feeling to me with the other players. Because even the first day, right, even though I was playing, yes, good characters, because no one knew who I was, because no one was like, who's this guy, you know? And I just come in and I dominated. I was like, I'm 3-0 now, kind of lost the final, but, you know, I went like pretty good, you know, I went pretty good. It really felt that people was like, who is this person, right? I hear people whispering about it, you know what I mean? And then the second day, I'm there, right? It's Friday evening, I'm there Saturday morning, after you slept basically, coming back the next day immediately, and like slam right, and I just crush everyone with the evil deck, and I was like, whoa. So it had that feel to me. So maybe my experience is not your experience. No, I get it, that I'm talking from my own experience, right? But I think it is an interesting experience, honestly, which is something you can't really, I guess, experience, like better words, you know, very, very often, right, you know? Not only that I haven't played for so many years, but, you know, next time I go there, I'm thinking maybe even going tomorrow again, try to pick up another coworker. If he joins, probably go tomorrow. Now I'm pretty sure everyone knows who I am, you know what I mean? Now I've pushed my mark in there. It's the same thing when I moved here a couple of years ago, and I play, you know, Street Fighter or fighting games, right? Same thing there. Like the first fighting game tournament, you appear, your first locals, right? And no one knows who you are, but they might have actually faced you online or whatever, right? But the first local you get to, who's this new guy? You crush them. They're like, whoa, you know. So that feeling is always very special. That like the first time you can like own a game club, like yes, that's right, I'm the new king. But I actually had that feeling, and like I said, it felt especially funny because I just got all the evil cards second day. Yeah, it was like, yes, I'm the new bad guy. I was just like, I'm the villain of this place now. I do play like Sephiroth. No, but seriously, I do play an evil style, right? Because I play very, very aggressively. Okay, so I am, you know, I've experienced. This is like my 30th pre-release. I don't know how many I played, but I played many back in the past, right? And one of my signals was that I was playing always super,
aggressive, because hetsig is Swedish, very hasty, very much like, oh, well, let's do next turn, right? I always finish my turn immediately, basically, in a second if I can, and that usually stress people out, right? So there's a lot of that meta game that I'm very good at, not just the actual, card mechanics, but I'm actually very good at actually being like an evil player, so to speak, right? And I know it sounds silly, but like this third guy I was facing on Saddest, he was like shaking. His hand was like, his hand was going like that, right? And I am just very, very calm, like bam, that, bam, this, and he's just like, oh shit, oh this, oh, come on. So I'm very much like that. I'm not rude, I'm not saying that, but I'm just like, I play harsh on the same way. I used to work harsh by the way, but I play harsh in the same way. Right? I play it very, very aggressively. Like I'm just like tap turn, and I used to do the design thing, right? So my turns go very quickly too. And it was interesting because we had 50 minutes on us, right? Every match. And in the finals, the other guy was playing the same deck as me almost, black-white instead, but also had 2 of these and very similar cards. And we finished our game in like 10 minutes. He was also a very good player, right? It was 2-1 to me. But yeah, there was like, I went 7-1, right? And that was like, what can I say? Yeah, like that took like 10 minutes, seriously. And the other gamers are still playing, right? Most of the guys are not even finishing their 3 rounds in a 50-minute set, right? But we finished in 10 minutes. And we were both playing like, arguably I guess the best decks then because we were there. But like, I would argue saying that our decks probably have more complicated mechanics, right? Or complicated combos. That's why we're there in the finals, yet we're playing way faster. But he's like me, right? We know exactly what the cards can do when we can bang them out, right? And we barely communicate, And I think that's one thing too that I notice a lot with new players is that they read the card. I read the cards too, of course, sometimes. But I felt that I had what I do this time, and I always do, is that before I go to a pre-release, I of course look at every card right in the pre-release, and I read them like for a few hours, like maybe 3-4 hours. I spent, probably at least like 4 hours last week, like 1 hour per day, reading all the cards over and over again. So I memorized all the cards. Yes, okay, might sound crazy, but this is how I win, guys. And that's how I win, okay? Like, I'm being deadly serious. I spent like 1 hour per day up to this Fire tournament, like Monday, Tuesday, so on, reading all the cards, memorizing every card, and thinking about combos, like when should I use this card and so on, right? So when I get there, I can immediately say this and this and that, this is what I combo, right? So when I get like Nibelheim Ablaze in my first, okay, it's a great best removal, this combo, this card, Death Touch, Lifelink, this card gave with Landfall, blah, blah. So I have it all in my head, right, When people are playing their cards, I know what they're all doing, right? But seriously, you really should study up before a pre-release. Secondly, what I do almost always, right, is that I don't look at the card that much. I don't look at like red, blue, and green, whatever, like what they should do. What I do is that when I open my booster packs, I first open up all the packs, basically. A little bit I look at the mythical rares, of course, fine. But except looking at the rares, I just order them out. I sort them out. So I go like all red, all blue, all green, all white, all multicolor, right? And I make them into piles, right? And then I write them down on a notepad or whatever, it's my phone, but usually it's a pen and paper. And I write down like 15 red, 2 blue, 9 black, right? And I do that in my math in my head, and I look at and I compare how many cards do I have of each color, right? Then I look at how many rares do I have that actually are meaningful, right, per color. But first of all, I had to mathematically calculate what color should I go. Can I go mono? Can I go, dual? Can I go triple? It's worth having a third color. I played 3 colors the first day, right? It had very, very powerful, like, bomb cards in 1 color, but everything is terrible. It might be worth playing 3 colors, right, to have that last, like, his amazing, like, win card in the end, right? Like, turn 10 or whatever. So, that kind of stuff, right? And I do it very mathematically, and all the cards are doing, and then I actually start reading, okay, what I actually get. In a sense, yeah. I kind of first look at, like, okay, how many do I have? Percentage-wise, how many like finishers card do I have? How many reach do I have? One thing I see people really lacking is reach, cards like haste or whatever, right? I played Red Crystal in the deck that I won with. And this card gives everything haste, so you can reach, you can hit them in the face with anything, right? And the best combo I had them was Fire Crystal, and then you pick Gilgamesh. So he costs 6 mana, but costs 5 mana with the Fire Crystal, and he plays out on the board. You get to look at 6 cards. when you attack, it's the same thing, and all equipment goes to Gilgamesh, right? Or actually one of them, but now it's on the board, whatever, I guess. But point is that if you haste on him in turn 5, you can hit immediately and like pull up 12 cards in theory, right? And you just flood your board with all the equipment, so you get 2 of them, and you get like life, flicker, trample, you just immediately whatever, you just crush them. Yeah, it's crazy. It's just insane, right? So that kind of reach combo where you suddenly hit like, oh, I'm hasting up like a 10-6 in your face next turn, right? That kind of plays are something that I saw almost no one else doing at all. I was the only person I saw at least doing these kind of plays where I suddenly can just smack you in the face, right, with like a 6, right? So honestly, there are repeated combo. You have to understand things. Okay? We're on the mechanics now, guys. Okay, we're in the mechanics. Okay? This is where the mechanics start. Okay, if you're new, guys, I'm gonna be super nerdy now and explain how to win in Magic. No, but seriously. Okay, so first of all, this is one of the best combos I had, right? So Gilgamesh, like I said, right, 6 his guy. And when you place on the board, you get to pull up a bunch of cards, right? You know, and it might be really great. When you attack, you do the same thing. So again, red fire crystal, right? Everything gets haste. That means Gilgamesh can attack immediately. But the real strength this thing is he has 6/6. He probably gets like 2 weapon lists, right? So he gets like a 10/6 perhaps. And again, then when you're at 10/6 with haste, you can suddenly smack someone for 10. That's half their life points. Honestly, understanding the phase reach concept, I think a lot of people struggle with. But that means that I could win games every now and then, right? By just suddenly I punched you for 6 or more damage from nowhere, right? I also had Garland in my deck, and when Garland dies, you can then revive him as a flying 5/5, right? So very often when I turn 7, revive Garland, have the fire crystal out, and it has a 7, you know, it's like 5/5 flying damage, right? And I was playing with this job, so you get like a 3+0 damage for pay 3 life. So every game, basically, I played that Garland flying 8/5 haste strike, bam, in your face suddenly. And that usually wins the game, right? I think people are very hard to understand this concept of like suddenly high-powered haste guys coming out of nowhere, okay? That is massive. It's what I call reaching, right? Going for face or whatever. But having that ability can really swing you so many games, right? Because the point is that if I look like I'm gonna lose, right? And it's like, well, you have like 6 life left, and you have the board, you have the tempo now. But I can, like I said, I can get an 8/5 flying haste out. You will die immediately, right? If you don't have reach or whatever, right? You have flying. So you can suddenly do that combo, and it's just like, what was happening, right? So I won like at least 1 game with that. A Garland, if I won the final game actually tournament with a Garland Haze Flyer, yeah, with this sword as well. Super powerful, especially in this set, because there's so many jobs left. Let's talk about that. Okay, so you showed you there, right? That was Dark Knight. I think Dark Knight is the best job actually, because you can so easily pay it, right? Paladin, also a good card. You play it outright. You get a 3/2 down because you get a 2/1 plus, you know, an A1/1, and it has a little bit of a protection against spell strike. Okay, it's pretty good. Jobs are very powerful. Okay, if you're playing prelease, you absolutely should play the job cards of all your colors. Okay, like straight up. If you play white black, you know, play dark thing, play paladin. If you play like the bow one for green or whatever, like play all the jobs. They're amazing, seriously, because they give you so much power, right? Because most of the jobs will create a guy that is bigger than the actual creatures are, right? So if you have a creature around 2-3 mana, they basically have the same stat as the job has, right? Like the hero with the job weapon. So they can trade. But this means that you will, of course, have the equipment left on the board, right? So they're very, very powerful. Extremely powerful limited. Because it's a guy with an extra power thing, and they can move them around, right? And the reason this one is the best one, I think easily, I keep saying it, Dark Knight is the best job for limited, is because it costs pay 3 life. This card was so amazing. I won like 2 rounds with this card, right? Because when this guy dies, the 4/1, you can so easily use pay 3 life and move it to another card, right? If you have a haste guy, it's really powerful. You can use flying haste or whatever, pay 3 life, punch him in the face. And certainly, some people would pay premium removal to get rid of the guy that I would equip with the Grace Sword. But that means that I'm paying 3 life for you to take 3 life or take a card. That for me is very, very good if I am the haste guy, right? If I'm playing an aggressive style like black and red, me paying 3 life and you take 3 life is really, really good. It's another very important concept to understand, right? If you are playing the aggressive player, if I can pay, again then, the same amount that you lose, right? I am winning, because I am gonna have 20 life, it's beating you as well. Because I am playing aggressive, you're gonna go down, so to speak, right? So you might have, let's say, 10 life, and I have 20 after like 4 rounds, right? If I can pay 3 life, and you take 3 more damage, and I can do it every turn, moving this forward around, you will of course take, let's say I pay 9 life, right? Now I have 11 life, but you have 1 life, right? Because I am in the aggressive lead, so I'm always gonna have more life than you until you get the board control, right? So paying life to do damage is really potent, and having it in a weapon then you can move around all the time is so good. Okay, this card is, I think, again, by far the best job. You play it out on curve every time, and then when the guy dies, right, you can then move it to your haste guys coming out later, and especially your flying haste guys, so they can punch immediately, right? And it's incredibly powerful. So all the jobs are basically like no-brainers. If you get a job, you should basically, I keep saying it, repeat it, I know, but like always pick them. Like, seriously, no matter what card you play, I keep saying it, but I'm gonna hammer this point down, always pick the job card. There's so much value in these cards in limited, right? Because at least here sample is very strong. It might get like a 6/6 plus, right, whatever. It's a really big guy, and then your opponent has to remove it, right? They have to use like a premium removal card to destroy this guy, but then you can just re-equip it again for another 4 mana, right? So they're gonna lose to that. It's so much cost effectiveness. It's very, very... Now another thing in Magic is tempo, right? The same in Hearthstone and other card games. So another really good card in this limited is this card, Choco-Comet, which this is kind of hard to say, but did I win with this card ever? I don't think I actually won with this card, arguably, but I certainly had a massive tempo with it every time. So usually, right, with this card, what you actually do is that you only play it for 3. So the way it works is you have to pay 2 red mana, right? And then you can play X mana, like any other color, or use more red if you want to. And then you will deal that amount of damage, right? So in one thing, this card can kill any big guy, right? If you have enough mana, you can do like 10 damage into their hero and they dies, right? Theoretically, probably not, but you can do like, in theory. So that's pretty good. It can remove like a big guy, where it is some kind of medium-sized guy at like 4 or 5 life. Okay, that is good. But the actual this card is a massive tempo swing. Because very often, in the beginning of the game, right, if I start and I play 1/1 like a bomb guy, you play nothing, then I play something or whatever sort, like small tiny guys, I can then at turn 3 do 1 damage to your guy, right? So usually they have like a 2/1, like a 3/1, maybe the 4/1 knight, right? So a lot of times they have like a decently like a 1 guy with 1 life, maybe more than, but usually somebody there, right? And by killing that guy at the 3/1 and then getting your own 2/2 bird, that is an incredible tempo swing in limited. This sounds, I think it's a hard thing that people understand, but it's a gigantic swing to remove 1 tiny guy and get your own tiny guy at like turn 3 or maybe even turn 2. Like, it's crazy power. If you have Mana Axing, you can get in turn 2, right? And of course, you also can play this card with just 2 mana. If you just play 2 mana, you will deal no damage to nothing, but then you also get the Choco-Bo, right? So in that case, you can, if you have nothing else to play with curve, you can get like a 2/2 for 2, right? Which is not the best, but it is still pretty good. So this card here is actually an amazing card, because late game you can kill anything with. Have 10 mana and do 8 damage, right? So this card is just fantastic. And actually that 2/2 bird, right? They all have landfall builds, so they actually get stronger. So you can, turn 3 if you play that curve, it has 3/2, right, and so on. So it's very, very good. Never underestimate the kind of tempo swing cards. And overall, as I keep saying, right, removals are the best in limited. So now let's talk about the card that I won the tournament with. Right? This is Nibelheim Ablaze. This is by far the best card in limited. I don't think that any other card. You can see it here. I have it on a special. Then this card is prettier, but I got the one with the date, right? The special, the X date on the corner there. So that's in my premium booster. And this is the best card in fantasy set. Not in like a constructed deck, perhaps, a commander, but in limited, this is the best card, right? Because this is like a massive AoE swipe, right? Everything dies, except you're 1 guy, and it's twice. I love how this card is flashback, it's PTSD, right? This is when Cloud Bombs dies. This is when Tifa's parent dies. Okay, spoiler. This is when the parents get murdered by Sephiroth, right? So it has flashback, you can do it twice. This means that, at turn 4, which is very cheap, you can just clean the whole board, except your biggest guy, and then turn 7 or late, you can do it again. People get scared, people have to play slower. They have to avoid getting burned by this card, right? So I won the tournament, and I think that I, like from an actual round standpoint, I think I won like 6 rounds with this card, like straight up, like 6 rounds. It's so good. The actual combo I'm using is on Ahriman, right? So you play Ahriman, it has death touch, so every time it hits anything, it dies, right? Then you play Ablaze, and it hits everything with death touch, so it kills everything. And overall, it's a flying death touch. This is the best combo card in the whole game, I say. Absolutely amazing. It can block both high and low, right? And it kills everything. And its combo then, it is insane. And for that matter, you can also use, for example, the kick card, Choco-Comet kick, that makes you, one of your guys deals the damage to one guy, which is double damage. This here, death touch again, right? So this is a rule a lot of people didn't even know, I noticed, when I was playing it. People were shocked, like, what, you can do that? I was like, yeah, death touch and everyone. Like, what? What? Yeah, I was like, yeah, I won. And, you know, you can do it twice, right? And then eventually, some people, like in the final, this guy, he was a good player, he was a weird this card, right? So I played on Kerr. He's like, god damn it, I have to sephiroth invent. He's like, he has to play his best card to destroy it, right? I had 2, of course, but he has to, you know, and then you get your big guys out later, right? This card is so powerful, so they get afraid of it. So that was kind of hilarious. Yeah, it was so incredibly powerful card. He also had the same deck as me, almost, right? So he also played this card like 2 of them as well, though. So we kept removing these cards, but it's just so strong. But again, this card is hilariously powerful and limited. Another combo I managed to do with this card is that I used it on my Gilgamesh in 1 turn. At Gilgamesh, I had him with the red wizard sword, so he gets +2 in damage per spell you play, per sorcery you play. Then I first played the sorcery spell that gives every wizard lifelink. That means that he's a +1 for that spell, +2 more, so he's a 9/6 wizard, right? With lifelink. And then I put on the darkness for him, so he's a 12/6 lifelink. His enemy gets 12 life, right? Then I do this card, Nibelheim Ablaze, and I got 72 life points. Right? I got 72 life points. I killed, 5 guys. I got 60 life points. Hit my enemy with the damage. Another 12 life points. He had like 35 life points, so it's 23 now. I had 8, and now I'm up to like 80. He's like, okay, I give up. he could have won, maybe. But that's the first time I played this card, so he knows I can play it once more. He's just like, oh my god, it's like, what? He got 72 life points in 1 turn? So, yeah, this card is the best card in the set. But my overall point to you guys, if you're new to Magic, and overall, I hope you like the video as well, of course, is that removal is always the thing, okay? Always play removal, okay? If you play white, play the exile removals, right? If you play red, you play this fire card, you play the bomb card, and so on, right? If you play green, etc., you're always gonna play removal cards, okay? Limited is all about just not allowing your player, or other player, to have stuff on the board, honestly. And the thing is that I find it kind of funny, right? Because a lot of people, like I said, right, they were playing the Sedans in the clouds or whatever. They're playing their air raids, and so forth, right? And I'm only playing like just like 12 plus, 13 plus removal cards. I played so many removal cards. So who cares, I just keep killing them. I kill, right? And then I played this tiny, I had like Freya. Freya's like a 1/1 red, and I did like 10 damage with Freya. So I play out Freya. I play at the Dark Knight card, they bing that card, I put the weapon on her, and then she's flying and attacks them with, So I kept doing that kind of thing, and I was like, I don't care, I don't need these, like, expensive hero cards, I only got my removal cards, right? That is actually usually how you win. Furthermore, I think one thing a lot of people actually have to avoid in pre-release, I mean, I get it, right? We wanna play our Sedans, we wanna play Cloud, we're gonna get the Square out, we wanna play Yuna, right? We do wanna play our, like, main characters, our beloved characters, but I think it's a massive trap, okay? I think one reason that so many people really failed that I saw in its pre-release was they were too much invested in playing the actual main characters. And don't get me wrong, obviously from a monetary standpoint, these cards tend to be worth more. The mythical rare heroes are of course very valuable because they have great combos, synergy, and so forth, right? And I got a terrible deck, right? No value in my deck, only a bunch of removal cards, nothing of value whatsoever. However, things that these cards, they only work with the actual synergy. Right? Most of the hero cards, like the main character cards, they have to have a deck built around them, right? So yes, they're more like valuable for a collection or whatnot, right? But for an actual tournament, they're pretty bad actually, because you need to have 10 or 20 or whatever cards that works together with them, right? So I was playing all the cheapest terrible cards that no one actually wants to own. But in the tournament, they were amazing because they don't actually require any synergies. So I think that's a huge trap. Most people I faced in the first rounds of both presets, they had too many main character cards. They were all terrible, unless if you have all of them. You know what I mean? You need like all the cards together, right, to make an actual deck. So they didn't have any synergies, right? They kept losing to my like cheaper like 1/1, 2/1 cards with like very basic abilities. Because like I do not need all the cards to work. You know, it was like, yeah, I don't need it. And it was kind of funny, like I said earlier, really made me come off as the ultimate bad guy, you know, like I'm playing, like for example, I'm playing like this Wayne card, it's like -2/2 with one guy, or -60 for your second artifact, which is a pretty like basic, you know, very basic card, right? But it actually kills almost everything, because you can very easily sacrifice one of the job select guys, right? And then you can keep later so on, or the actual artifact. So he kills almost every card. So I face like Odin and this and that, and I'm just like, I just killed him. So stuff like this all the time. I have 2 of these, of course. Yeah, I was like, no, this is much better. It's kind of funny. These cards are so much better. This is the much better card than most of the main character cards are in the pre-release, because of all the, you know, limitations, right? I think it's quite hilarious. See, so for example, even this card, like, which gives you the dragon from FF12, Yasamat, is a good card in set, right? Because this thing will, first of all, destroy a creature. Again, it's 5 mana, it's very expensive. But that is worth it, trust me. Like, seriously, this is a great card. This is one of the best cards, actually, generally speaking. I know it sounds crazy, but if you want to play many pre-release, this is one of the best cards in the set. Because it costs 5 mana, and it's not instant like Sephiroth's card. So it's definitely the worst, but it still is like 5 mana, kill anything, okay? That is good. You can kill all those hero guys, all the sagas, right? Or usually creatures. However, also gives you 1 mana back, right? So immediately you get a treasure token, which happens always, because if you kill something, you get a token, right? Okay. And then in every turn, you get another token if you get like a kill, basically, with something else, right? Which you probably will, because you have a bunch of removals, right? And then, of course, you turn into a 5/6 dragon, which is just like a fine card. But I think is that even in its worst case scenario, right? This is the card, again, that will kill 1 big guy, you just kill anything, and it gives you 1 mana back. And this mana can be used for any color. So I was playing black-red, and I would use this card to kill my opponent's card, right? Then I would tap it to get 1 red next turn, because maybe I needed 2 red, right? To play, for example, Gilgamesh or whatever. So it also opens up to, you know, curve into another color easier, right? So, for example, they could be a typical turn 5 is this card, turn 6 Gilgamesh. So don't underestimate also getting those treasure tokens. But yeah, bare minimum is basically like a 4 mana destruction, because you get 1 mana back, right? Another thing that I saw that I felt was generally pretty good, and the only thing that I lost to, seriously, was the Kudya card, okay? But overall then, one thing that I saw was very powerful, I think, in the pre-release, was these wizard token guys, okay? It's a bunch of cards in this set. It gives you a 0/1 wizard, basically does like 1 burn damage to the face, right? Every time you play a non-creature spell. This card also gives you 1 then, right? And it also gives them lifelink. This card just did way higher damage to respect, yeah. So the job select is the same thing, right? And a bunch of other cards. It's like a red guy, summons 1 wizard, and so on. And they easily stack up. If you have like 2-3 of these guys, you do like, you know, 3 damage per spell, right? This not creature. And that easily can be like 10 or 12 damage and so forth per game. And if you play any kind of aggressive deck, black, red, red, green, black, red, green, so right, black, green, so on, maybe even blue in this set, right? I just found these cards to be just very powerful, all of them. And honestly, right, it's a very simple combo, because the more of these black wizard guys, so FF9 you create, like, you know, VV guys, the more VV guys you create, the better it gets, right? So just picking like all of these like wizard VV clone dudes usually worked. Yeah, I had like 3 or 4 of this card in my deck that won. And of course then, when I play in the Sephiroth card, right, that kills 1 guy, I'm also doing 3 damage, right? Next turn, no Sephiroth card, a flame card, everything dies but do 3 damage, right? So I could easily do like, you know, 10, 12 damage per game with these cards. It was very powerful, actually. Surprisingly powerful. And like I said, the only game that I lost was on Friday against the guy who had Kudya. Kudya summons these guys every turn. Like, just automatically. So and you have 3 of them, he turns into like a double. He makes them double as good, effective wise them. But that was one thing I lost to, and that was almost impossible to beat him. That was insane. Like if you didn't kill Kudya immediately, right, in one turn, he would get 2 of these guys plus Kudya. And even in worst case scenario, Kudya will spawn, right, and you will get like 1 of these guys immediately. And then if he survives, then you get 3 of them. He doubles their damage, then you're basically dead, because then you can do like 20 damage in 1 turn easily. So yeah, these guys are very, very powerful, extremely so. And also for that matter, I never saw someone do this thing, and this is why I bring it up and hope you guys. I mean, I hope you guys like my video, because I haven't played for so many years, but I did people pretty bad. I don't want to be that guy, but I saw this mistake that a lot of people did, and what I mean is that. Almost everyone was playing the job select cards, right? Like I said, they're very, very good. So almost everyone are playing these equipment cards, right? But I never saw anyone, except myself, and I really mean I never saw anyone equip the wizards, right? So the wizard guys, as says there, are a 0-1, okay? And they ping like 1 damage, okay, you know what I mean? But what I did, right, in my games, is that I play in black-red, but I have the Dark Knight sword and so on, right? When my Dark Knight guy dies from the job select, right, then I move that Dark Sword to my wizard. Now my wizard can hit, he's like 3-1 now, he can punch you in the face, right? I never saw I was doing that, and I was surprised people was like, I'm doing it. He was like, what did you get with the wizard? Yeah, I can just move the token. He's a guy, he's a 0-1, sure, but I have like 5-6 equipment, right? I can put all the weapons on these guys. So every time my other guys would die, right, my hero guys would die, the 1-1 guys, I would move that to these guys, then they would attack. So, and people were surprised, but every game I faced, people were like, oh, they can attack too, but they're 0-1. So I was like, yeah, until I give them the weapons, right? So I was like, yeah, and I had this Caliber 2 weapon that gains more power the more you gain life, right? You get life by like sephiroth card, and I had the landings life and so on. So I was like, I could give them like a 5-5 life sword, it's like, yeah, band punches for 5, right? People were seriously very surprised by that, and it was kind of like their mind was never really registering that at any time the 0-1 guys could become like a 7-1 or whatever, and suddenly punch them in the face. That was like a mistake I saw every game, basically. I tell you, it was kind of hilariously bad, people. Another tip that I have then, and this is kind of a brief explanation of my first deck that I built, was the red-green, just all the love interest girls, right? Like Renoa, I mentioned earlier. My tip here is pretty straightforward, right? What happened first day was that I opened up these cards, right? I got 2 Renoa, I got Sarah, and so forth, right? And when you see that you have like a bunch of like dual colors, right? Like this is of course green, white then. And you see you have like, I have like 6-7 green, white cards. I was like, well, I guess I built green, white, right? Sometimes it's actually just go for it, The simple strategy is the best strategy. I don't think that these are the best cards. I don't think that these girls together are at the best combo or whatnot, but it kind of just tells you that, well, if you have like almost all of them at the same time, they probably will just work, you know what I mean? Like Renoa here, she buffs one of your allies with number of tokens, right? And then you had Quina, it's a green card, she creates frog tokens. And then I can buff Garnet, so she has lifelink. She becomes like an 8-8, and has lifelink and so on. So they could do all this crazy like token generation, lifelinking, and buffing the guys, and and Sarah can buff all everyone with 2/2. So, and the kicker is kind of Sarah, right, in this deck then, because she makes everything cheaper, and she makes everything stronger if you transform her. And the thing to understand is, like I said, right, is that, well, I don't think it was the best combo. I don't think that this is the best combo in limited at all. Like I said, Blackheart is better, I think. But overall, right, if you just have like, I got all of them, it probably will work. So yeah, the first day I was like, well, okay, I have every healer girl. Okay, I guess this should probably be something good. Right? I was like, that probably will work out, little that feeling. But I do want to address one point here though. That is of course mana axing, mana upping, innervate or whatever, right? So Sarah is a great card here that makes you pay 2 less, right? Or legendaries. Basically, everything is a legendary in fantasy. So she basically, like, next card costs 2 cheaper, right? So Renoa costs 5 mana, for example. Sarah costs 3, right? This means that I will play Sarah on turn 3, Garnet on turn 2. It's like not the, turn 1, maybe I play the Death Touch 1/1 if I have it. It's a pretty good card. Turn 2 then, Garnet, turn 3 Sarah, and then I can Mana Axe outright Renoa usually turn 4, sort of 5. And suddenly you can really, just flood the board because of Mana Axing. So Mana Axing, very powerful, basic combo, of course, usually a green thing, you get more mana. Another great card, my best card in this deck, was Diamond Weapon. Okay, it costs like a lot of mana, right? But it gets cheaper for your permanents in your graveyard, and also it's a legendary, so it gets 2 cheaper by Sarah. So I could get it out at like turn 5 sometimes, or even turn 6, so I could get it out really quickly sometimes. So that is like a 7/7 reach, can't be destroyed card. It's very powerful, like basically can block everything forever, right? Because it can't die, and has reach, you can touch flyings, you can block your stuff forever, so you can stand there, it keeps you alive, right? So stuff like that, it just kind of works, you know what I mean? But I don't think that my deck was actually very good the first day. What I did is, and this is my point, and my long point here, is that you have to sort of understand also how the format is, right? The speed of the format, okay? So this is something I saw with a lot of people, with the experienced, really good players, and kind of the noobs, right? Is understanding the tempo of certain set, right? So even people that played other Magics before, they might not get this point. So for example, I haven't played for 10 years, but I very much know that certain sets, right, in Limited are gonna be way aggressive, very quick, a lot of cheap cards, and some ones are very expensive, right? Things that for Fantasy is filled with a lot of dual colors, a lot of stuff that is just like, you know, very expensive. You're definitely not gonna curve out everything, because you maybe get Sarah out, right? But later on, you have a bunch of non-mono cards that requires you to have like 3 colors, right? Or maybe like 2 green and so forth. And it's hard to actually get everything out on a perfect order, right? Because you don't have like the correct double lands or whatever. So this set just takes longer time than the average Magic set takes, right? So for that reason, stuff like green is just better, right? It is slower to play. So my deck mostly could win a lot of games the first day, because like I said, I got almost every green wild card, right? It's my foundation of the deck to survive. But then I just threw in all the big green dudes, like Emerald, T-Rex. I just filled the deck with all the absurdly expensive big dudes in green, because I have lifelink, I have some sheets, I have vigilance, so I know I can survive, right? And suddenly I was dropping like bomb after bomb after bomb at, you know, like post turn 10, right? Because I know that I can very obviously survive, because it's a slower set, right? So understanding the tempo of the game, like per pre-release, is very, very important. If you know there is a much, much higher tempo, my deck would have died, right? Very likely it would be too hard to sustain it, right? But in a slower format then, it definitely works. Now, I'm just gonna briefly rank the colors after my feeling. Now, according to said, I have played 2 pre-releases now then, in this format. I probably play one tomorrow. And I have to admit that I will probably try to play a color I didn't play. Okay, so I'm just gonna briefly like T-rank the colors. And again, I am talking here about Final Fantasy pre-release, or like limited, or drafting, so forth, right? And I will say that I haven't actually played blue, okay? I never got a blue one so far. Tomorrow, I will try to build a blue deck on purpose, right? But I got like no blue cards neither day, like 5 the second day. That being said, I obviously have faced blue decks though, so I still think I have a pretty good understanding of if they work or not. But okay, so I'm gonna start with the mono colors. Might get into the other, you know, setting a little bit later. But first of all then, the best guys are basically in black, okay? So black has the best cards, I would say. It has the most removal cards, Sephiroth Intervention, the Vayne card. It has a lot of this stuff. It's very, very powerful, because the removals are very excellent in black. Now red is probably about the same level. Red up here. So red got 2 tier cards that are very good, okay? It has both Thunder and has Fire. So you can do Thunder. It's like a Thunderbolt, right? You can make it more expensive, you kill all the cards that has more health, or you have the other one that gives AoE then instead. So both are very good. And overall, it has the reach, it has the best crystals, and by far in limited. The fire records is much better than other ones. And it just has like a pretty good like trample, haste guys and so forth. It has a lot of punch, Choco-Fire is very good. So all the basic cards is very great. As I mentioned in my video previously, right? Sephiroth's Nibelheim Ablaze is the best removal in the game. So I can even see red being better than black, but I think red is probably like number 2 in black then. Then white has pretty good removals as well. Has some good minions. And it has some of the exile cards. It has some really good protection cards. It has like this one hexproof. This is like menu selects very powerful. It has a bunch of different optional cards, which are pretty strong. But its jobs are worse. Like the jobs in blacks has the best job select. Red has arguably the second best so far, right? And then I think it's green, big guys, it's probably up here, it's 11, and then it's blue is the worst one. Yeah, I think it's green is not very strong, I think, in limited, but it gets very strong late game, okay? So green is like powerful, right? When you get into that, 7, 8, if you can survive that long, as always, green kind of works. Blue, I felt was just terrible. I didn't see a single blue deck. No one managed to make a good blue deck. It was one guy that played a Kefka deck in semifinals. Kefka is 3 colors, so Kefka is very powerful, right? But it wasn't like blue was good otherwise. And the thing is that, yes, blue has counter spells, of course, and so on, but it didn't really feel they had any good minions. The actual removal, of course, is kind of counter spells. And its tier deck, tier key wasn't that good. Its job select isn't that good either. The jobs are again more for like an actual, for full real deck, right, for limited. So I think blue was a freaking F tier, man. I didn't see a single good blue deck at all. It's just no one ever worked out with blue at all. And then if I quickly go into the dual colors, I won't care about 3 colors then. Like I won't care about like this thing when you have like triple colors. That's too complicated, I feel. So triple colors. Rakdos, absolutely. The black-red, the one I won with, but I think it is the best one. Because then you have, obviously, if black is the best one than red, yeah, black-red is the best combo, I think, for Final Fantasy. You get all the removals, you get the two best removals per color, right? It is fantastic. Really, really powerful removals, first and foremost, in Rakdos. And then it is probably green-red, has the reach, the double turn thing, bunch of other pretty solid combinations. Another combo that's good is also white, black, very similar to red, black, right? Again, great removal. Actually, probably this, because great removals in the black, in the white, not as good as red, but also has some good dudes. So this is probably the more accurate thing. Then green, white, probably here, you said, fitting, but honestly, green, white, not as good. Thing is that if you have white and black, right, the combination of white and black's removal just makes it much stronger than, for example, white, green. So the combo there, it kind of amplifies each other, right? And actually, some of the black card cost life, some of the white gives life support, right? So actually, black and white is as typically a very good combo in Magic Gathering. So that is a much stronger combo. So even if white, I would say, is weaker than red and so on, white and black is a very powerful combo. But again, I would say it's weaker than like red black, but otherwise second best dual then, right? And then I don't think that green black is very strong. They don't really have much of I don't think they have many good combo, had except and so on. They seem to have pretty weak actual like dual cards. It kind of works not that good because black has the great removal cards and green has the big dudes in the end, right? So you might survive, but it's a little bit like you would rather have, I think, red-green, because red has more, AoE removal, right? And if you have green cards, they usually pretty big and kind of health pooly and rich or whatever, right? So red-green is better because you can remove all the tiny guys, and then your big guys can protect you against their big guys, right? Where black and green is like you can remove their big guys, but not a bunch of tiny guys, right? So you don't really struggle with the big guys. You struggle with a board of a lot of fast guys. So I think this here is much more complementary, and the brand is much better. Green, white, probably somewhere here. I did Splice in red my first day. Joshua I had in that deck, for example. He is a very good card in limited. Joshua has lifelink, is flying and feeding someone, right? Is that the Boros thing? A bunch of those like counter, what's called? No, Helix lightning and so on. It's pretty good. It works pretty good. Not like fantastic either, but like it was pretty good. My deck that was these 3 right in my first day, and it was a pretty good deck anyway. Now blue white is a pretty common combo. I would put it here probably. They have a lot of tapping, they can survive. This thing is pretty powerful. I mean, if you have almost all of them, then it is powerful. Yeah, then it is powerful. Then you're getting, you know, all the tapping, remove all the bouncing, you get the exiling, so then you can really control the board. But I think they have really weak actual like dudes, so it's not that powerful. But if you have that, and then you have like one or white or, you know, pure white guy, it's pretty strong, maybe, but not that good. Blue red seems to be really crap in this limited. Yeah, because the blue red guys are like Tala and so on. I got that card. They kind of like, they require you to play really, really expensive spells to work out. So blue red has like a really terrible AD. We have to play like card that costs like 8 mana or whatever to get the combos right. They will never work in limited. So I would say that blue red is so bad, it's like watching mono blue. It's terrible, like unplayable. That is probably the worst combo in the whole game. Blue green also feels pretty terrible. You know, I think green feels kind of weak, honestly. Green with white and green with red kind of works. But yeah, green, blue, green, yeah, it's not that powerful. Then lastly, blue black. I probably put it here somewhere. It's little, yeah, it's like probably here and see. You can see it outside there, but it's like somewhere here. It's a little stronger, but it kinda works because black has the best mono removals and blue has the only counter spells. So if you like keep countering the correct cards, right, then you remove the mono big dudes, you kinda are surviving. But again, I didn't see many good, I don't think there has been any good like basic creatures for those colors to actually fight for you. Overall, I mean, blue kind of is weak, like the actual minions are too weak in blue, and black has some of the best minions, so it's a little bit, maybe it works, but yeah, it's probably over there, guys. It's probably outside in the B tier. But anyway, guys, that's a summary of it, my breaking it down. I think this is a pretty accurate way to look at it. I mean, like I said, I think red and black is by far the most powerful and limited, so obviously their combo. And maybe I'm biased because I won with that deck, but I just like, you know, I played the first day and I saw that combo too, I guess, very powerful, and I played second day, I was like, this is my theory, and it worked out perfectly fine. So, but it just, like I said, it just feels like removal has always been the most important thing in limited, right? Because people have so few cards. So if you remove their 2-3 really important, you know, key cards, you win the game, right? And again, then red and blue has all the best removals on the same time, like both of them. So you have a combination of those. So you have so many removal cards, right? So you kind of win, right? So it just makes sense. Like I said earlier, white and black is like, okay, white has the third best removal cards after black and red. But also then, I do really like the white defense cards, right? Because the only color that can save you from these red and white cards, right? Red and black cards and so on, and also the white, all the white cards are the white cards, right? Because they give you hexproof and so on. So the only white, yeah, the white common and uncommon cards, the instants, are basically the only way to survive these cards. So that definitely could be a thing. In my first day, right, I won a match on that, you know. The guy is like sephiroth, my big dude, and I'm like, no, you missed because my dude is immune to spells, you know what I mean, that kind of way. So white, and I guess blue as well. But the thing is that's kind of mean that blue is just weak, right? Because blue is doing it from like counter spelling, which is a weaker form because counter spell is too expensive in this format, the way they have it now. So you have to pay like, you know, like 3 blue, right? Like 1 blue and 2 random to counter spell like a death card, like a sephiroth card on your big dude, right? But in white, it costs 1 white mana, the same thing. Because you can use buff yourself, right, with like hexproof on my big dude, right? So your sephiroth misses, right? Versus paying 3 blue mana through the same thing, yeah. Like the exact same effect, right, actually in the game. So no. White easily overcalls what blue can do, right? Much cheaper. And then usually it's like, the counter spells are also like, if they pay extra mana, right, they will not be countered, and that means that if it's very late game and they're dropping their best removal on your best dude, they have enough mana up, right, to, you know, just not to be paid the extra cost. And sure, you will force them to pay extra. Sure, they have to maybe wait one turn to do this thing, right? But again, with the white cards, you just get immunity, which is better. The white thing is like hexproof, right? The whites have hexproof, they have ward and so on. It just makes it better. I think the only really good blue card is the Leviathan. Yeah, one guy played blue. That was the only card. He lost still though, but that was the only card I felt, this is pretty good. So Leviathan is just like everything else except Leviathans, Kraken, Octopus, and like Merfolk go up to your hand again. So he could like complete the board wipe with like a 6 mana drop. That is pretty good, and you get your 6/6 left, right? That was the only good blue card, I think. That felt like really impactful. That felt like this has massive impact actually on the game, and kind of hard to actually solve or whatever. Of course, I just killed it with one of that card afterwards, but yeah, that card was actually pretty powerful. Nothing else in blue really that I remember, except the guy that played Kefka. He got like third, like 4th place. Kefka again, that is a powerful card, right? And then, but that'll be my last point, I suppose. Of course, some of these cards, like I said earlier, are very much, game-winning, super big dudes, right? If someone plays out like this 3-colored, gigantic, like 8-9 mana drop guy, right, with every ability, yes, of course, it's a good card. But you get my point. It's like that's kind of unrelated to the tier list, right? Oh yes, you have this like super evil boss mega card that does like 20 different stuff, right? And yeah, that's powerful. But I think that usually in a limited, and I think it's fair though. If you play limited, like drafting, pre-release, whatever, and you get one of these super mega imba boss cards, right? Yeah, it might be worth building a deck around it, because if you play it, you basically win, right? If you play it, it's like I win the game card. But not always, okay? Even if he's the giant biggest bomb ever, it doesn't necessarily mean you win. So I think it's a little bit, it depends on what they do, okay? So Billy Kefka, he's a great card, but he still is not that good in limited. He dies from one removal spell, right? And before he dies, you get like more cards and so on. So he's like a +1 card, that's pretty good, but not that powerful, right? A better limited card usually will deal damage immediately. Like a haste card would be better if you haste on that. So I would rather build around a deck that does more stuff. For example, the best card I got in the boost pick I won afterwards was Knights of the Round. Okay, it's an 8 mana drop, very expensive. Indestructible Knight comes out, right? He spawns 3 more Knights for 4 more turns, and then you can attack with all of them, and they have plus and jet plus one. But that guy immediately, right, spawns 3 more Knights. That means that the opponent has to remove them or basically die the next turn. And then 3 more Knights, and 3 more Knights, and then it buffs them, and 3 more Knights. Yeah, it's a super annoying card, right? That card doesn't immediately win you the game, but it gives you massive impact on the board, like next turn, like you probably will win. So with Kefka, it's like, okay, you draw a lot of cards, and that's pretty good, and all the guys score card pretty good. But again, you don't win by that, you know what I mean? You have to draw the correct card, and there comes in the whole limited thing, because I'm drawing cards, but am I drawing a land? Am I drawing a good card? You know what I mean? Like, drawing cards is great in all card games, but drawing cards late game compared to like massive board impact is actually pretty shit, honestly, like most of the games, because if you have only one giant bomb dude, right, and it's Kefka in this case, then he himself won't win you the game. He might, because he's like a flying big guy when he transforms, but at my point, he's not that strong himself. He kind of enables more cards to come out from your hand, but they might not actually be that much stronger than he is, right? Where like that's the round actually will win by itself, right? That card is basically impossible to stop after a few turns, right? So it's kind of like, okay, that's a better value card. Odin is not a good example. I faced Odin one game. He lost, of course, because I removed it because I have just a bunch of rumor cards. But Odin says if he hits you, he wins the game, right? That's a great card. That's a great card in the set. The Cactor is a great card. 9/9/9/9 attack, right? Because if you can't stop them that turn, they win. They are a little cheap, honestly. They do feel a little RNG. Do I get it in the perfect turn? I might be the win. But I think overall, those kind of cards, say my last point then, I think those kind of cards in Magic are highly valuable, right? Because Odin then, he can't attack the first turn, but the next turn when he's out, he can attack you, and it's like a 5/3. And if he deals damage to the other player, you win. So it's like, sometimes, of course, you probably will actually drop that 5 damage, right? And, win. You might get haste on him with red and so on, right? It's not the best card, but just having the opportunity to sometimes win with some cheap-ass ability, right, will work in like 1 or 3 games or whatever. You probably actually will happen. And even if it doesn't happen, it means that, of course, the opponent has to remove it, right? When I saw Odin, I had to immediately defeat him with one of my best removal cards. That, of course, makes your next card free to play, probably, right? So, like, that cards are great. Cactor was great. Yeah, I was very close losing to the Cactor. We had a very even board. he had the character out. I had to keep blocking it with my tiny guy size. I didn't give it trample, luckily. But eventually I managed to do that, a flame death touch which killed everything. He had like the character out, he had jet out, it was like crazy, and he kept building guys, but that's called that AoE death touch, right? And I was fine, but those cards are very intimidating, and I kept having to like sacrifice my tiner guys, right, to not lose the game. So those like I win the game cards, even if you can block them, right, are annoying because yes, okay, you're not winning the game yet, but I had to sacrifice all my guys, right, to not die, you know what I mean? And because I was so afraid of him doing something weird, I have to like double sacrifice some cards, because I was like, well, you can maybe bunch them or something. So I was like, well, I guess every of my guy has to always be a blocker, right? I couldn't attack with like 2 of my guys and leave 2 home or something. He might ping them off. So I was like, I guess I sit here with all my guys, just wait for my death touch ability. I was just like, yeah, I guess I just wait until it's over, you know what I mean? So those are some effective, but I don't think that changes the tier list, right? Because the thing is that the tier list has to be looked at like all the, you know, random kind of what is the general sum of the color, right? And yes, you might have like a super awesome bomb card that is like green, white, and blue or something that will win you the game, right? Or it's the best thing ever. But again, obviously, it's like, well, how often do you draw that card? How often do you actually have that card in your color thing, right? Very unlikely. So this here is based on like mostly the average, like common, uncommon, and you know, some rare. But I'm still assuming that you have a couple of rares, mythical rares, right? But I'm also looking at, you know, the cheaper cards, right? That we have a couple of, and then yeah, blue I think is terrible. It's terrible. This is super weak. But anyway, we prescribed have a great day.